Here are 7 tools for showing form. The first one is to use all the modeling factors. You may know that there are 12 of them. Use them like a checklist. If you're not using all of them, you are probably missing realism in your work. The second tool is to use correct perspective. This goes outside the scope of this course, and I can highly recommend the website drawabox.com. It is a phenomenal resource for teaching yourself perspective. Here's an example of a still life drawing where you can see a strong understanding of perspective. Tool number 3 is to think in planes. This is related to perspective, but it's specifically about understanding the topology or surface of the thing you're drawing. We're going to do an assignment specifically for this. Tool number 4 is to use the full value range. On the left, there's a charcoal drawing in the full value range that charcoal is able to express. On the right is the same drawing, the way it would have looked if it had been drawn with an H or 2H pencil. A hard pencil is severely limited in its value range. So if you're looking for realism and impact, try to expand your value range within your drawing or painting. Tool number 5 is to create a strong 1, 2, 3 read. 1, 2, and 3 refer to light, halftone, and shadow. Choose your light direction to make it easy to distinguish between the 3. This is called having a good 1, 2, 3 read. Here we have a 1, 1, 3 read. This makes it more difficult for the viewer to understand the object. This will be 1, 3, 3. And 1, 3, 3 again, this time lit from the top. And the classic 1, 1, 1 lighting. This happens when you have a flash on your camera, and it's usually a bad thing because it flattens out all the form of your subject. The next tool is using atmospheric perspective. This is a big one. I use it in every drawing or painting that I make. Atmospheric perspective is sometimes also called aerial perspective. It refers to the effect of air or atmosphere on distant objects. It is particles in the air that create this effect. You can use atmospheric perspective to create a more dramatic sense of space or depth. To do that, it's helpful to think of the 3 C's of atmospheric perspective: contrast, color, and clarity. First of all, the contrast diminishes with distance. In the foreground, we can see that the shadows are dark and the lights are bright. In the midground, the shadows are getting brighter and the lights are getting a touch darker. In the distant background, the shadows are even brighter and the lights are even darker. All the tonal values are getting very compressed now, and there are no big jumps in value. This is the result of atmospheric perspective. In terms of color, we have strong local color in the foreground. As we move to the midground and background, we're getting more and more influence of the color of the atmosphere. Here that color is blue, but it can be different colors depending on the time of day. And finally, clarity, which means how well you can see specific details. Clarity diminishes with distance. In the foreground, all the details are sharp and clear. In the midground, everything is getting softer. And in the background, we cannot see any details. Everything is very soft and unified. Atmospheric perspective happens in epic vistas, but the principle is the same on a foggy day, or even underwater. It is particles floating between you and the thing you're looking at that create the effect of atmospheric perspective. The fun thing is, we can use this not only to make epic mountains more epic, but also to emphasize depth on subjects that are much smaller, like a portrait. So on this skull, you can see that things that are closer to us have more contrast and sharper edges or transitions. The detail is more clear. And the parts that are further away have less contrast and softer edges. In this case, I'm thinking of the color of the paper as the atmosphere. So I'm modulating how much effect of that atmosphere I want to have in different parts of my drawing. Tool number 7, drawing with the form. This is also called hatching or cross-hatching. You can see in this drawing that the lines have been chosen carefully to follow the form. When you do this, drawing and sculpting can begin to merge in your mind. You're drawing on a two-dimensional surface, while your imagination is exploring the three-dimensional form of your subject. I find that really enjoyable, and it's extremely effective when you want to communicate form. Here's a drawing by Michelangelo, an artist who was both a sculptor and a painter. The amount of information communicated here is just phenomenal. Another artist who was good at this is Prudhon. You can see that all the lines are following the undulations of the surface. So, here they are, 7 tools for showing form. Use all modeling factors. Use correct perspective. Think of planes. Use the full value range. Create a strong 1, 2, 3 read. Use atmospheric perspective. And draw with the form.